Okay. Second time trying to record this video. First time my phone overheated and lost about 20 minutes of footage. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this a little bit more short and sweet, but still go into a lot of detail. I'm going to go over something that I'm getting a little tired of seeing, but I'm still going to see it every day of my life for the rest of my life because that's just the way things work. A new guy comes in, they ask the question, and it's perfectly fine to ask questions, and I'm making this video to hopefully direct some people to answer that question. And this will be the debate of Alpha Beast versus Replicant. Ah, yes, Alpha Beast versus Replicant. Two very beautiful knives made by a very nice company. So let's go over them, shall we? Hopefully my phone does not overheat again, because that would suck. I'll probably break things. So, Alpha Beast is a fully titanium knife. It is the first knife from Blade Runner Systems. And this is the 3.0. Full titanium handles with a 154 cm blade. Now, all of their knives have the same blade steel, the BRS Bare Bones, Replicant, and Alpha Beast, except the Infinity, which has an S35VN, but this is the stock with the alt blade, so this is 154 cm. Now, the Alpha Beast is more known for being more of a horizontal knife. It's really flowy with chaplains and, you know, helixes behind the 8 balls, you know, 0Gs, stuff like that. Whereas the Replicant is more known for being a very good vertical knife. You know, ladders, and in my opinion, it's great for aerials. Now, two key components to what makes these knives what they are is balance. The Replicant is slightly blade heavy, whereas the Alpha Beast is slightly rear biased, or I would say a little bit rear heavy, because it's full titanium. There's a lot of weight back there to work with. So yes, now in my style of flipping, I personally prefer the Alpha Beast, but I'm not going to let that get in the way of this video. I'm not trying to bias anything. I'm not trying to tell you to go buy an Alpha Beast. I'm going to look at these two knives, you know, constructively and individually, tell you their weaknesses and their strengths, what they're good at, what they're not good at, and kind of help you figure out which one you should get if you're looking for one, or which one you should get first. Honestly, I think if you had the money, you just get both, because they're both great in their own way. So, one thing that you should look at before purchasing either one of these is what knives you've owned and what knives you've already flipped. Two staples that people have already owned and already flipped are the Benchmade 51 and the BRS Bare Bones. Two knives that you can find on the secondary market for very cheap, and they're both quality knives. Take a look at the Bare Bones first. See that it is a heavier knife, and it flows quite well with chaplains, ladders, everything of the sort. You can do behind the 8 balls, helixes quite well with it. It's a handle heavy knife. Unless you look at the 2.0, but I'm not going to go into the 2.0, that's a whole different story. And then and I would compare the Bare Bones more to the Alpha Beast. It's a full metal knife with decent flow to it, with vertical stuff. And then you take the knife like the Benchmade 51, and I would compare that more to a Replicant, seeing as how they have a lot of the same features, and they don't really flip similar, but the construction and what you do with them is somewhat similar. They both have titanium liners with G10 scales And if you think about it, the 51, in my opinion, works better with vertical stuff. Whereas I cannot do vertical stuff worth of crap with the bare bones. I don't know why. It's just too handle heavy. Needs a little more blade weight on the V1. With the V2, I can do vertical stuff. I mean, that's a different story. So let's look at these knives independently, and I'll tell you what I think. My personal favorite is the Alpha Beast, and I'll tell you why. The Alpha Beast is full titanium, like I stated, and I love full titanium in my hands. I really love the feel of full titanium handles. I love the whole metallic feel, and that rear bias is what really makes it for me, because I am kind of a slower flipper. I really love to just kind of be flowy and smooth with my tricks. I like to do ladders, behind the 8 balls, chaplains, blenders, and stuff like that, helix aerials, and that's not to say you can't do it with the Replicant, because you sure as hell can. I'm just saying the Alpha Beast works better for me when doing those types of tricks. You take the Replicant, you have the titanium liners and the G10 scales, and the blade's a little bit heavier, has a little more weight to it than the handles, so when you're doing vertical stuff you may find that it's a little bit easier. And honestly, I think aerials with the Replicant are extremely fun. I could probably do aerials with this thing all day. I think that's its primary strong suit, is vertical stuff and aerials. Now, you might not like the feel of full titanium handles, which is where the Replicant would be a strong suit for you, because it's a little bit thicker and it has a smoother feel to it. This won't really beat up your hands like full tie will. It takes a little bit of getting used to flip a full metal knife, because that metal is just going to eat away at your hands, honestly. Whereas this, it's not really going to eat up your hands at all. You're just going to be flipping kind of a smooth piece of, beautiful machinery. So that's another thing to consider. If you don't want, I'm just going to feel my phone here, make sure it's not getting too hot. Okay. If you don't want that full tie in your hands, then a Replicant might be the way to go for you. Which brings me back to think about what you flipped prior to thinking about purchasing one of these two knives. Or if you own one and you're curious about, the differences between them, and you want to try a Replicant if you only have an Alpha Beast, or you want to try an Alpha Beast if you only have a Replicant. So if you only have a Replicant and you've been flipping that for a while, you've probably gotten pretty used to it. You've gotten used to the way it flows, used to what you can do with it and what you can't do with it. And you've gotten used to the little nitpicky cons about it too. Like, personally, the Zen pins are a little bouncy for me. This is kind of a bouncy, flippy knife, which I'm not that big of a fan of. It doesn't affect my flipping at all with it, but it's just something to point out. Now, if you've only been flipping the Replicant and then you go to something like an Alpha Beast, this will probably feel a little bit heavier to you, and you'll notice that this has a little bit more of a solid feel to it. And then when you're going for your vertical stuff, it's going to feel a little funky. You're not going to have that blade weight helping you out too much. It's still there, it's noticeable, but it's going to feel a little bit different. So that's something you might notice. Now, if you go from an Alpha Beast to a Replicant, you're going to notice that the ever so easy chaplains and rollovers that you would do with this on the Alpha Beast are going to feel substantially different on the Replicant. I don't want to say it deliberately tries to fly away from your hands, but it's a little harder to control on the Replicant than it is on the Alpha Beast. This is kind of a 1 to 2 chaplain max knife unless you're doing it kind of slow. like this. If you try to speed up your chaplains, unless you're extremely used to catching up with the Replicant, it's gonna feel funky because this is a fast knife. This is a fast flipper. This is a knife you flip if you want to flip fast, if you know how to flip fast. Not that I really know how to flip fast. Not very good at it. At least not with this, because I'm used to the AB. It's about as fast as I can go with the Replicant. So you're going to notice that. It's not as grippy to your hands as an Alpha Beast would be if you're going from an Alpha Beast to a Replicant. But you might like that. You might like, you know, picking something up and flipping faster with it. Whereas with the AB, it's a little more slower. It's calmer. I would say this is more like, I don't know. Think about, this is going to sound stupid, but bear with me. Think about a house cat. You have your house cat, nice and tame. It'll just cuddle up with you. You know, you could watch a movie with it. It'll just sit there and be fine. There's no difficulties at all. You're just having a good time. And then you're going to pick up the Replicant and you're going to have a cheetah. A cheetah that's going to want to fly away, that you're going to need to keep up with. And that's going to be a little bit of a game changer. So that's something you're going to need to think about. So I don't really know what else much to say other than the final verdict of what I think is better, and you're probably not going to like my answer. Neither of these two knives are better than the other, okay? And that's something that a lot of people need to get right off the bat. There is not a knife, unless you're taking into consideration, you know, CCCs. And I can tell you from the start, a Benchmade 51 can pair up with an Alpha Beast in the right hands, okay? You could find somebody who can flip a Benchmade 51 better than you can flip an Alpha Beast. And you want to know why? One word: preference. I know I'm kind of getting up in your face about this a little, and that's because I'm really passionate about this. There isn't a knife that's better for everyone. There are multiple knives that are better for certain people. I love the Alpha Beast. I personally don't see myself flipping another knife as much as I love flipping this Alpha Beast right here. But again, you never know. There is always going to be that one knife that works for that one person, and occasionally there is going to be a knife that surpasses that one knife that works for that one person. So just because I don't like the Replicant as much as I like the Alpha Beast doesn't mean I think it's a bad knife. This is an amazing knife with amazing quality, and you know, I love it to death. This is a great knife. I enjoy flipping it a lot, just not as much as the Alpha Beast, and that's because it works for me. But you take a lot of the other Instagram flippers and Facebook flippers, and you know, they swear up and down by the Replicant, and that's one thing that kind of irritates me, is you're going out of your way to tell people that the Replicant is a better flipper, when in reality, if they buy a Replicant, they might not like it if they flipped an Alpha Beast before. And there's always that, you know, it doesn't matter the knife, it matters the flipper. But a flipper with a knife he loves is the best flipper, and I stand by that statement 100%. Because I tell you what, if I only had a 51 on me, I probably wouldn't be flipping as much, or I would just be insanely good with the 51. That's a lie. But a great knife that you enjoy helps your flipping immensely because you're enjoying it. If you have a knife that you don't enjoy flipping, you're not going to enjoy flipping, period. So that's going to kind of wrap it up. It's all about preference. You could like the AB more than you like the Replicant. You can like the Replicant more than you like the AB. Or you could say fuck both of them and go buy yourself a 51 and enjoy that more than either of them, because that is just a simple little fun knife that you can flip around. It is all about preference, and I hope that this video has kind of taught you a little bit about what both of these knives are about separately, and together they're amazing. If you ever get your hands on both of them, then you're a very fortunate individual, and I don't think you should ever say one is better than the other, except in your own hands. So yeah, that's Reality Reptiles signing out. Have a good one.